So guys, welcome to our next video. So in this video, what we are going to do is this. We are going to be creating our adapter so that we're able to link this list of items with our main activity. So let's create a new, we're going to create a new Java class. Now the way I'm going to create this adapter is this. I'm going to create a view holder separate, then an adapter separate. So I will explain to you the way it's going to be. So let me call this contact view holder. So this contact view holder is going to extend recycler view dot view holder. Then after extending recycler view dot view holder, you can see that we're having error. So you click on the red board, it says create constructor matching super. So we click on it. So the way it is now, we created this view holder and we now implement constructor. So what we are going to do is that we are going to bring in all these items that we have here, which is the name, the number. We just need only the name and the number. The number is here, the name is here. So let me change this to number. So we are going to bring all this, we are going to reference this in our view holder class. So this is how we are going to do. We create public. Remember, don't use, in this class, never use private. So we call it, we have two text view. We call it text view name and text view number. So these are the two things that we need. So let's reference them by the ID from the contact list item. So we say text view name is equal to item dot find view by ID arrow dot ID. What name did we give to it here? Let's check. The contact name, we give it txt contact name, and the number we gave it as txt contact number. txt, you can see the both has appeared, so telling you that it has connection with the contact list of item. So for the name, we use txt contact name, we close it. For the number, we say equal to the same thing, just the way we did the first one, find view by ID txt contact number. Please, if you are having any challenges concerning all these tutorials that I'm doing, please always comment, write in the comment, and I will be there to help you. So the way it is, our view holder class is ready. Now we need to use this view holder class in our adapter. I'll finish everything. As I'm teaching, I'm going to be explaining it, and I might return back and re-explain it again. My goal is that you should understand what you are learning from me. So I'm going to create another Java class. This Java class, I will call it contact adapter. So this contact adapter is going to extend recycler view. But before we do that, let's create a model for our class. Now, the work of the model is that it needs to display the property, things that we need in our application. It's just like a register in an organization. The register shows that everybody that's in the organization need to register their name, their phone number, their home address, and their email address. So in the registrar, there is a portion that specifies that these are the things that is requested from the workers working in the organization. So that is what model is. Model is just telling our app that since the way this app is, we need name and number in this app. So these are the things that is needed in this app. So let's create the model class. Please, if you don't understand, please let me know. Whatever is your suggestion from the way I'm teaching, maybe you are not comfortable with it, please still comment below and I will improve. So we need to specify that we need name. The next thing that we need here is a number, and both of them are strings. So let's create getters and setters for these two things. So I'm going to click here, left click, then click on generate getters and setters. I will highlight everything and click OK. So the reason why I'm creating this thing is that we need this model in our adapter class. So we are back to the adapter class. We are going to extend recycler view dot adapter. Then we need to bring in our contact view holder. This is our contact view holder. So you can see that we create a contact adapter, extend recycler view dot adapter, and we bring in the contact view holder. So we are having error here. We need to click on this bulb and click on implement method. So these are all the methods that is needed to be implemented: on create view holder, on bind view holder, and get counts. So everything is okay. We are proceeding. We are making progress. So on this contact adapter, we need another thing here. We need context. What is context? Context simply means that on this activity. For example, you have main activity dot this. So since there is nothing like dot activity in this Java class, so we use context as a representative of activity dot this. So it's just telling you that on this activity. So if you check on the main activity, we have a main activity, and if you want to work on any activity, go from this activity to another activity in main activity, you write main activity dot this and the other activity dot class. But on adapter class, you use context for that. So that is the work of this context. So another thing we need to bring in our model, contact model, as an array list. So let's create a constructor for this. We click on it, we right click, generate constructor. Then we highlight everything and click OK. So we have our constructor set. So the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to create on this view holder, we are going to return the layout. This layout here, we are going to return it on this place. We are going to inflect it here so that we can still use it. So what we are going to do here, we are going to call create view is equal to layout inflector dot from this context. You can see the work of the context now. So from this context is going to inflect bring in another layout dot inflect arrow dot layout dot contact list. You can see that showing now. Then the next thing we are going to set parent, then we set attached to root as false. Then we return new contact view holder, because the contact list, all the items, all the variable that we need in the contact list is is in this view holder class, is in this view holder Java class. So we need to return when we bring in the layout, when we inflect the layout, we also need to return it as a contact view holder so that we can have total access to the contact list layout. So we set this view here. So that is done. Please, if you don't understand, please still comment below. Let me explain more. So we have we are done with the contact view holder. So what do we need to do next? Here we just return contact model array list dot size. I think we are okay with this now. So the next thing we are going to do is that we need to bind this layout with our model class. So for us to bind the layout, the contact list layout, for us to bind the contact list layout, meaning that what we are going to do is that the model class has the information we need, so we need to bind it with this contact layout and set the item to this layout so that it will display on this layout. When it displays on this layout, it can now be retrieved from the recycler view, and that will now be the work that will now do in our main activity. So let's go to the contact adapter. So we are going to use holder. We say holder dot text name. Please always make your view holder here to be public, because if it is not public here, you can't access it here. So we say holder dot text name dot set text. So we are going to, but before we do that, let's do this thing. There's something that we need to do. Look at what we're supposed to do. Since we are linking the layout, the contact list item layout, with our model class, we need to bring in the model class. So we say contact model, we set it as model is equal to contact array list dot get position, get the position of a particular item in the contact model, the position of a particular name and number. Now, before we now work on the holder, we'll now say holder dot text view name dot set text. Then here we'll now say model dot get name from our model class. We also set for the phone number holder dot text number dot set text model dot get number. So we are done on this recycler view. So the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to proceed to work on our main activity to bring everything to display on the recycler view. But before we bring in everything to display on the recycler view, we need to create a function to have access to our contacts in our phone or our devices. So I will see you in the next class. So guys, welcome. So in the last tutorial, we created our adapter, the view holder and the contact adapter and the model class. So in this tutorial, what we are going to do is that we're going to be creating the function to really have access to the contact on our phone, to display all the, to bring out all the contact and display it on our recycler view adapter. So let's go to our main activity. So on our main activity, what we are going to do first here is that we're going to bring in the recycler view adapter, the recycler view itself from the main activity.xml. We set it as recycler view. Then we bring in our contact model. We are going to set it as an array list. So we are going to call it contact model. Contact model. So another thing we are going to bring in is our contact adapter. Our contact adapter, we'll call it adapter. Then that is it. So let's proceed. On the main on the onCreate, we are going to, on the onCreate activity, what we are going to do is that we are going to set our contact model. We set it to an array. We set it to be an array list. is equal to new array list. Now, before we have access to contacts on our phone, we need to request permission from the user. Let the user give us access to read external storage, to read contact from the phone. So for that reason, we need to create a runtime permission. So we're going to call this check runtime permission. So let's create this class. So once the user opens this app, the first thing that the app will ask is permission. So let's create it. So before we proceed to create this, we are going to first of all go to our manifest file. We are going to our manifest file to read permission to make the app have access to contacts, access to all the contacts in our phone. So we are going to bring in a permission. Say use permission read contacts. Without that, you cannot have access to the user's contacts. So for our runtime permission, what we are going to do is this. Let's create the permission. Please, this permission I'm going to create, if you don't really understand it, tell me. I will create a separate video on it, because permission is very, very important to understand in Android. So we say if context compact dot check save permission main activity dot this, then manifest dot permission dot read contacts. If the permission to read contact is not equal to package manager dot permission granted, this simply means that if permission to read contact is not granted, then what should we do? We are going to still request for the permission. So we say activity compact dot request permission. Activity compact dot request permission. How do we request permission? We request permission on this main activity. Remember that we request permission on this main activity. If it is another activity, you are still going to request permission. So that's why we say main activity dot this. Then the next thing, we are going to tell the user that the kind of permission that we need. We say new string as an array, an object of permission. So we say manifest dot permission dot read contacts. Then reading this contact, whenever the contact access has been given to us to read our contact, the access to the contact is linked to a particular code. We can name the code any number of our choice. I can name it 102, is okay. But now this code, now I will still use it in another place. So what I'm going to do is that, please let me just explain this thing again. I still have doubt if some person have not understand. The first thing I say that I wrote is that if contact dot check permission, checking permission on this main activity, which is on this activity, which is activity dot this, and manifest dot read contact is not equal to package manager dot permission granted, that is permission is not granted. That is the work of not equal to. So if permission is not granted, then what do we want? We want the app to still request for permission. So that's why we set activity compact dot request permission on this main activity. Request the permission to access contacts. Accessing contact it will come out with a result code. Is this result code that we are going to use to do all that thing? It's just like getting access to the server. You return a response code. Maybe when you are building application with server-side language like PHP, Node.js, and so on and so forth. So now you reading the contact of the user, you come out, the result comes out with a request code. So this request code is what we are now going to use. So this request code can be used, will be used in another place too. So we are going to set it as a global variable. So we are going to put it here on the top. We set private int so we can call it any name, permission code, and we can set any number of our choice. So we bring in this place, we are going to replace it permission code. So now if permission has been granted to us, we have received an authorization to access our contact, what do? We now use else get contact. So we are now going to create a separate method or function called get contact list. So it is this method that we are going to create a function to access all contact, because permission has been given to us. So permission has been given to you to enter the house, go in and do whatever you want to do. So that is the work of this function here, this method here. So permission has been given to us to have access to contact. So now do your work by bringing out the contact. So create this outside here. So before we have access to contact, we need to create a URL. We'll call it URL. URL is equal to contact contracts dot contacts dot content URL. Then this contact, we need to sort it by ascending order. So we say sort, string sort is equal to contact contracts dot common kind dot phone dot display name plus ASC. So access the contact name in ascending order. So when it ascend, I try to access it. Now we wrote this variable for it to access the contact in ascending order. So how do we access the contact? We are going to bring in a cursor. A cursor is like a query function which is used to query the data. Is like to query the database. So in this case, being a contact, we are using this thing to query all the contacts from the phone. So say cursor is equal to get content resolver dot query. Now what do we need to query? We have set a URL to a URL that is a path to the contact. The next thing we set null, which is the projection null. Then string selection null, we don't need it. Then another thing is a selection args, we set it null, but the sorting, we have already set a variable for our sorting. So we close this. So now we have created a variable, we have created a function, a little function to query the contact in our phone. How do we do it? We set an if statement that if cursor dot get count is greater than 0, That is, after the cursor, try to query the contact in the phone. If querying the contact in the phone, it return with some contact, that is, contact should be at least more than 0. 0 means no contact was found, but more than 0 means that even at least one contact was found. So if that contact was found, we are going to create a while loop to loop through all the contacts and bring them out. So we are going to set a while loop. We set cursor dot move to next. Cursor dot move to next. Move to the next contact that you have gotten. So we set a string ID, trying to query the contact in our phone and bringing out all the contacts. What do we want? What kind of information about the contact do we want? We want to get the contact by the ID, by the name, and by the number. So let's set it. The first string will be ID is equal to cursor dot get string, cursor dot get string, then cursor dot get column index, then contact contracts dot contact dot ID. So this one is for the ID of all the contacts. Another one is name. We say string name is equal to, let me write them because I've explained the first one. So I've set the name. So now I need to initialize a URL to get the content again. I'm going to call it phone URL. So I'll set string selection because we need to bring in to give the, and we need something like this string selection. We need it. So you are going to see how we are going to use it. Please, whatever I don't understand, please let me know in the comments below. So I need to initialize phone cursor. I've initialized phone URL. I need to initialize phone cursor. So that is the URL. If you check from all this thing that is displayed here, the first thing they ask us of URL, we have already set phone URL. The second one, they set projection. We're going to set it to no. Selection, we have a selection already. Then string args, we have it already. then string order, we set it to null. So this string asks, is this ID that we set here? So we are using it here. Now that we have set all this now, what we are going to do next is this. We are going to try to query the contact again through the phone cursor. So we set if phone cursor dot move to next. If it move to next, then we'll get the number. We'll get the number from the contact. Here now we are trying to get the number. That's why we are working on this if statement. We want to get the list of numbers. So we have set variable for name, and this line is for name, and we have set another one for number. So now we want to add all these to our model class. So we need to bring in the model class and add all this to our model class so that it will link with the list of items and display it on our recycler view to display to us. So that is the reason why we have the setters and the getters. So we set name, we bring in name, model.set number, then we add it to the array list. We need to close the phone cursor so that there should be no leakage of data. So we also close the cursor. Now, the next thing we are going to do is that out of this, outside the cursor, which is outside the if statement, we are going to bring in our recycler view. We say recycler view is equal to find view by id arrow.id dot m underscore recycler view, which is the id that we give to the recycler view. Then we set recycler view dot set layout manager. We set new linear layout manager on this context, on this activity. Recycler view dot set has fixed size through. Then the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to bring in our adapter. And this adapter is going to have a context and an array list, a model list, which we set on our this model list here, this one here, which will also add the contact to it. We are going to set it to the adapter. When we finish setting it to the adapter, we'll now set recycler view dot set adapter. Then we bring in our adapter. But yet, one thing that you must know is that this permission doesn't have, this permission code now cannot do anything yet. So we need to bring in what they call request on request permission. So we'll come outside of this get contact list and we bring in on request permission result. On request permission result is what is going to give us full access to the contact through the contact code there. So we check for condition. If request code is equal to permission code that we have gotten from the permission when the user gave us access to the contact. If request code is equal to that permission, which I told you that it is that code that we use to get permission, just like a response code from the contact we have that the user has given us permission access to. And if request code is equal to permission code and grant result dot length, that is the result gotten, is greater than 0, and grant results, we set it an array of 0. If this is equal to package manager dot permission granted, if this is true, then it means that permission has been totally granted. For that reason, we bring in the get contact list. So it is this one that will finally display our contact. Else, what if the user didn't give us full permission? What do? We are going to display a toast message to the user telling the user that permission is required to use this application. After giving the user this toast message, what we are going to do is that we are going to still ask the user for permission again by calling this check runtime permission. It means we are still requesting for the permission. So we are going to test our app, and I might use a read device to test this app. So guys, I tried testing the app and I was having issue. The app was crashing. So I was trying to figure out why the app was crashing. I noticed that here I supposed to write phone cursor dot move to next. I went to write cursor dot move to next. I went to write cursor dot move to next instead of phone cursor dot move to next. So that is where I got the error. Please, if you need the source code, comment below and I will share the source code with you. So let me run the app and let's see. And the second thing I did is that I changed my color, my primary dark color, and my accent color to black. So we have run the app. Let's see the way it is. You can see the way the app is now. So now what I will do is that I'm going to uninstall this app. Let's see if the permission. Let's see if the app permission is going to work. So let me check if it is the real one that I uninstall, because I was creating mine to let me see. Okay, let's try to run the app again. Sorry about that. You can see the app is requesting allow contact list to access your contacts. So if you deny, let's deny and see what will happen. Say permission. Let's try it again. Permission is required to use this app, and it will keep asking for the permission. It will keep requesting for the permission, because without the permission you can't use the app. Let's rerun the app again. Let's just uninstall it, because Android Studio noticed that we didn't give the app permission, so it has restricted us from using the app. So we are going to uninstall the app and install it again. So let's install it again and see. So let's allow permission. You can see that our contacts are showing. I just create all these dummy contacts because this is my emulator. So you can see it's accessing all our contacts from our phone. So thank you for being part of this, for watching and sticking around in this tutorial. Please like and subscribe, share with friends, and you can even suggest more content, the one that you like me to create, and I'll create them. Thank you. See you next.